Yes, close your eyes now.
We are live.
Hi, welcome to Not Just a Thing, brought to you by Mickey and Ting. And pausing and slowing down is so important to a more mindful life, but we don't get to do it, and it's not yet the new normal. So Mickey, was that helpful for you?
You know, it's interesting. I wasn't sure when I was supposed to open my eyes, so I was kind of waiting. It sounded like somebody was maybe making an espresso in the background. So I was like, oh, makes me hungry. It was helpful. And I think what I was trying to do, during that time was pay attention to my thinking, but also every time I thought of something, think of it as almost putting it onto a leaf and then just watching the thought go by. So I was trying to kind of like let go. So I would think, oh, wait, I'm thinking about my feet. And then I would just put it on a leaf and let it kind of go down the stream. And so I was trying not to like analyze my thinking, because it's very hard. You're always thinking about your thinking. And I learned that from Dr. Stephen Hayes, who has explored kind of how do we actually realize that our brain is making us think about all sorts of things, but it's not necessarily true. Our brain like comes up with all sorts of stuff. And sometimes resisting synthesizing is really important. So I was trying not to synthesize, like not to take that thought or why am I on screen with my eyes closed, whatever. I would just like put it on a leaf, let it float down the river. How about you?
Yeah, I benefited so much during the pandemic to connect very authentically and deeply with people around me. And I realized when I'm really being present and being mindful, when I can afford to actually pause and listen and observe, I can connect so much better. So I'm very grateful to this meditation because I was really rushing all the way to this episode. So this really sits me down, and I'm very excited to interact with our game contestants today. But before we bring them up, we would love to show you the winning idea from our last episode, which is also about loneliness, fighting loneliness. If Corey, our game show master, is going to show us. So we had a little bit of oh, great. The one crisis is lack of quality connection. And the two things drawn was T and ceiling, with the three constraints. So with some IoT, things at home are talking to each other. This is in 10 years' time. And Rob was living with his girlfriend, so living with one other person. So what is a winning idea? It actually comes from our audience, Gijs Verhoeven. I lived in the Netherlands for a while, so that's how you should pronounce it.
Nice job.
Our audience who actually beat, is actually an intern of Rob, who beats his supervisor, who's our game contestant on the show, to have this QR code on the tea bag. So you can have a tea connection time. And if you share it, it's going to connect you to someone who had the exact same tea and the same amount of tea time that you have to maybe have a conversation.
Interesting.
So this is
sort of random conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations, guys. And as you see there, it's a lot more about weak ties and sort of getting connected with many, many more people. But today
so
we're
weak ties, and I just want to clarify that a little bit. During the pandemic, people aren't getting a chance to maybe they're not at a bar, they're not at the airport, they're not bumping into people, they're not going to the conferences. And there's been a good amount of study around the value of weak ties between people that stretch across social networks. And that's actually suffered a lot during the pandemic. And so that was one approach to kind of play with weak ties. And I know your lab, the Irrational Lab, has a deck of cards called No Small Talk, which I think is pretty awesome. Yeah. Which actually, the minute you meet somebody, it's got the weirdest questions. So you don't say, what's the weather like or whatever, know, and it really, I could almost imagine tying that idea together with a prompt, like maybe a prompt, from No Small Talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do today?
So first of all, we have our exciting game contestants for today. And we're going to actually explore how not to be lonely while being alone. But if our guests can use one sentence to introduce yourself to our audience, that would be lovely.
Who are you? Who are you?
Who are you?
Ayse, who are you? Let's start with Ayse. Give us a sentence about who you are.
I am Ayse Birsel, and I'm originally from Turkey. I've been living in New York for 30 years, and I'm a design evangelista.
Nice. Design evangelista. And I think right behind you, that looks like a Herman Miller,
yes,
the old school Charles Eames divider.
There
Is
you
that
go.
true? Nice. All right. It's beautiful. And Stephen, who are you?
My name is Stephen Streibig, and I'm an interactive designer, and I run a company called Iontank, based out of Pittsburgh, and I'm a long-time colleague of Mickey's.
Stephen has saved my life many a time and helped me create crazy things. And how about Dr. Ada Lee? Nice to meet you. I haven't met you before. How are you? And tell us, give us a sentence about yourself.
Hi, I'm Ada. I am based in Toronto, Canada. And I am a behavioral scientist at the behavioral science consulting firm BEWorks.
Excellent. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, Ting, what are we doing?
So we would love our guests to share a little bit about when was the last time that you felt lonely? And what did you do to overcome it? So what does loneliness really mean? Was it when you were alone? Share us something about it, because we're going to still take that as the crisis to tackle this week.
Who wants to start?
So I can get us started. I have 2 teenagers at home, so sometimes I wish I was alone and lonely. But the last time that I truly felt lonely was, when you asked that question, Ting, it took me back years when I was a graduate student at Pratt Institute, and I lived at Columbia Heights in Brooklyn Heights. And I felt so lonely because it was my second year in New York. It's really hard to make friends in New York. So the excitement of being in New York had worn off. And I had moved out of campus thinking this is a good idea, and then found myself in this neighborhood where everybody seemed either married or in love or with kids, and I felt like I was the only alone and lonely person. And I just wanted to walk up to them and say, "Take me home, I'm lonely."
Did you end up doing that at some point? Did you just walk up to somebody and adopt them, or have them adopt you? How did you get over that?
I moved to St. Mark's, the Lower East Side in New York, and that changed my life. And
wow!
Because there were so many interesting people, everybody seemed like me, you know, hanging out and doing something creative, and there were bookstores, restaurants that were open 24 hours, and cinemas, and so I had plenty of diversion, you know.
And how about you, Ada?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think back to the time, so I have an 18-month-old son, so opposite of Ayse, where I don't have a teenager, I have a very young toddler, and I just came off of mat leave. And I found that when I was on maternity leave, especially in the early days, you can feel quite lonely. Well, you're alone a lot. And then you also feel lonely, especially, you know, where I am in life. Not all of my friends have children. And so to me, you know, this feeling of loneliness is related to the idea of connectedness. It's a sense of belonging. It's a sense of feeling understood by others. And just sort of sharing common experiences with people that you know. And I found that with many of my friends, I just didn't have that common experience with them. I was kind of going through motherhood sort of alone. And eventually I did meet some mom friends, if you will, online. And I didn't really get to meet them in person because the pandemic then happened. But having those people to just kind of connect on common experiences and feeling understood, and having people validate kind of the crappy experiences I was going through, you know, being a mom, helped me overcome this feeling of loneliness. So yeah, to me, loneliness, the opposite of that is a feeling of belonging and being understood.
Stephen, how about you?
Well, I think that for a lot of my career, I've had the unfortunate or fortunate, depending on how you want to spin it, task of traveling to different cities for long periods of time, sometimes upwards of 2-3 months in a single location. And while we're traveling with colleagues and a team of people who I consider to be, you know, good friends, it's the connections to the familiar routines in your life that I think are difficult to step away from. You can't transplant yourself into a Marriott in another city and pretend that it's normal. You can try, but over time, those four walls surround you a lot more tightly than I think you feel in your normal routine. So I think sometimes just breaking out of familiar routines and being put into a position, even if you're surrounded by people you know, there's a sense of, you know, feeling alone at times because you are far removed from your family, your day to day. And even if I'm touching base with the team that's back in the studio and trying to keep things moving, it's very different, and you do feel isolated.
Yeah, I think I remember those times too when we work together. And sometimes it feels frenetic and energetic, but also it feels like, how do you just feel comfortable or psychologically safe, or just let go with somebody you're just really comfortable with, and you don't have to talk about work, or you don't have to talk about, you know, the mission that you're on or whatever.
Yeah. And I think, like, as I've kind of gotten a little bit older and potentially a little bit better at doing these trips, the one thing that we used to really kind of focus on was convenience. Like, we want to be conveniently close to where we're working. We want to have all of our tools accessible. And in our more recent trips, we've been thinking more about the experience. Like, where do we stay that is a little bit more enriching? Do we want to bring mountain bikes on this trip or rent mountain bikes on this trip? And like, make the connections a little bit more genuine, because if it is all about work, it's really fairly destructive.
It's rough. Yeah. It kind of relates to what Ayse said, where she moved, and a lot of people that kind of understand even how our brains work and all that, they say context is decisive. like if you really want to change things, change where you are, because we're
Right.
shaped by that quite a lot.
Yeah. And can you share a concrete moment during the pandemic when you actually managed to connect deeply with another or not feel lonely that doesn't require physical togetherness?
Well, for me, I think I've been very fortunate at the very beginning of things before the lockdowns were really rolling around and in effect. I was able to catch up with my parents, and I don't get to see them so often. And it was really good to be able to spend some time. But in particular, there was a project that I worked on that was very special to our family because my father right now has been going through a cancer treatment, and I happen to have the opportunity to work on a cancer center commission. So spending time with him at this facility for just about a half a day, but with underneath this gigantic, beautiful sculpture that we designed, that was pretty powerful. And that was one of the greatest moments I can think of, regardless of pandemic or not.
So he probably doesn't get a chance even to see the kinds of things you do and experience them for real. Yeah.
No, let alone stand under one. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Ada
I've seen
and
pictures
Ayse.
of that. It was kind of crazy and beautiful. Sorry, go ahead, Ting.
Yeah, I mean,
So, Ada, you go.
I guess we unmuted ourselves at the same time. No, I was going to say that during the pandemic where we connected with someone deeply, I don't know that I found that person. I'll be completely honest. I think that I found the people to connect deeply before the pandemic. Luckily, like I said, I found a lot of made a lot of friends who were also moms who had young children, and we actually connected through Facebook groups. And so the pandemic didn't really change any of that. A lot of it was already virtual, and so we just kind of continued in that way through text messaging. But once the pandemic hit, I think there was just the people that I knew, we were all just kind of going through the same things, and we stopped seeing each other in person. And I don't think that I've found a new person or someone else that I've been able to connect super deeply. I think we've just been trying to in survival mode, if you will, during this time.
Got it. Ayse, do you have a moment of not feeling lonely and to share?
Yes. First of all, Stephen, good luck with your dad. Speedy recovery. So actually, this pandemic has been really interesting for me. I'm an introvert at heart. And so there is something about talking to people through Zoom that that's actually comforting, you know? So I have multiple answers, but I think the one that really rises to the top is when the pandemic started, we started these virtual teas. You know, I do Design the Life You Love. And Dr. Ting, you were mentioning that you have my book. And so when the pandemic started, I was like, let me reach out to my community and yay, and see if, I mean, this is a great time to design your life in a moment of crisis. We all need to do it because it's already happening. So reach out to them and said, you know, would you be interested in meeting once a week? And they were absolutely. And then what do you want to do? So we do some creative exercises from the book, and they're like, yeah. And actually Mickey came as one of my guests like a couple weeks ago. So we do 1 or 2 creative exercises, and then we have an expert in very different topics who join us. But that's the highlight of my week. And we're usually 50, 60 people. And some people come again and again. There are some people, we're at tea number 34 now. Some people have come to like as many as 30. And that really makes me feel less lonely. Like there is even though it's not one-on-one, we feel like we're a community and we're looking forward to that moment together.
Yeah. That's wonderful, and I feel that the level of honesty that I can afford during the pandemic, everybody is so much more understanding. So I really appreciate, for example, Ada, that you share so vulnerably about, oh, actually I was on survival mode. And I literally like went on a lot of conversations, started with like sharing actually the difficult part in life, sharing my own, failure in behavioral change. And the time alone allowed me to also see what is deep inside, that it was not out of the habitual thinking, not out of the habitual actions, but something that's more kind of organic coming out, and being able to share those with each other. I remember in one Zoom call, we used one of the prompt question of how would a 10-year-old yourself see and think about where you are now and how you are now doing now. And just with that question, me and the other person talked for an entire hour, and we were both crying. And this was actually a kind of a work partner, right? I didn't expect that. It was at 8 a.m. It was supposed to be like somewhat formal. We were testing this app that uses, and it was just mind blowing. That day, that week after, I felt this like sense of warmth, and so I can relate to all what you have said. I think in today's game, we're gonna kind of try to bring in both the science of how showing gratitude, no small talk is better than small talk, but also some of these personal experiences of when it works well. And then we're going to take two random things and see how those random things in our daily life can actually help us achieve more of those experiences with deep connection without needing to be in person together. So our show master is going to give us, the whole panel of things, and you all will be given the choice to pick two things. So that's the crisis that we're facing. So now let's see what the two things. So if you are on the Miro, go ahead. All three of you can review one number. There's a thing behind. And then
so just grab a hold of the actual number and pull it away. And there should be a little thing underneath it. And you can do that on the Miro board.
Okay, let's see. We've got wallpaper. Oh, there are more than. Sorry, you can only review one thing. I will pick out of.
Hey, Ting, we're not actually seeing the right board on the screen. There you go.
That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a little delay. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So it looks like, what did we get?
So, and then I give you a bonus one. So you now have these four things, and each of you will be picking two out of the four. So you have to design a solution to help us feel less lonely and maybe have an experience of connecting deeply with another person using two things. You can pick, right? So we have wallpaper, toilet paper, ceiling, music. Also, audience, feel free to join if you can beat our game contestants. That would be fun. And then we're gonna look at the three constraints. So this is constraints of time and IoT. So let's see whether we're in a time now or in the future. Okay.
So that's the constraints area, and what are we going to do for that? Does each person pull off a fruit or vegetable or turkey or something?
Because it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
oh no.
Oh, you're gonna pick turkey. Okay.
We're gonna pick turkey. So there's gonna be some IoT. You can imagine. You can still keep it, low tech, but you have the possibility of designing for it in 10 years. And as you know, in this Thanksgiving, we might be able to use some of these ideas to connect with those whom we have in person or not seeing each other.
And what's the question mark mean?
So this is we're gonna take actually one of you to be the person to design for.
That we're all gonna design for. Okay.
Yeah, that we're all gonna be designed for. You each pick a number between 0 to 10, and I will pick a number, and the one who has the closest number to my number will be our our user today to design for.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
So Stefan,
Cool.
Stefan, I'm gonna go with you first.
0.
0? Okay. Ada,
2.
Ayse.
8.
Oh, I have 9. So
Ayse it is.
so question, what is your social context? Do you live alone or do you have kids, pets? Yeah.
Yeah. No kid, pets, 2 teens.
Okay.
My husband BB was your contestant last week. He is right now in Dakar in Senegal. So
Okay.
we're 3 women in the house. Yay.
Okay. So you live in the house. Okay. That's also a constraint. Okay. And then now you have 3 minutes and we'll bring you to our co-creation board. So hopefully
I design for myself as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. This is yay. So we have 3 minutes. We'll start the timer.
And so someone could pick toilet paper and music and try to redesign that to help with loneliness, or someone could pick ceiling and wallpaper. You could pick anything you want. Timer is going. So click on your Post-it note and come up with a way to solve this lack of connection.
I'm drawing it.
That's good. I'm going to try one too, just for fun, because I like seeing how quick I can come up with dumb ideas.
What are you trying to say? We're going to come up with dumb ideas?
I'm going to.
You need to try hard. Mickey, I bought your sticky note in. Post-it in. Sorry.
1 minute and 37 seconds. Oh, wow. The audience can't see the countdown timer. Odd. There we go.
Hold on. Were we supposed to use the turkey or not? Has to relate to Thanksgiving somehow?
No, that was a way of choosing the
okay.
scenario. Mickey, can you use your blue? Sorry, we actually had a post-it created for you. It's now on the board. Okay, we'll move it over.
Yeah, I can move it over. 1 minute and 27 seconds. Wait.
That's not yet updated. I'm not sure. We have.
You're having update problems. 45 seconds.
Yeah. Corey, can we zoom in the 2 things a little bit for our audience? Anybody's.
Okay. Come on.
It's fast.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure mine's the best. It's weird.
This is always the best, man.
No, it's just that I have a big ego.
In 21 years, it's never been the worst.
Now we get to know you more, Mickey. You've got a 20-year-old.
All right. So what happened? What happened? What are we going to do now, Ting? Do we have somebody?
So actually, Stephen and Ada, you can come up with a new product name for your invention if you like. But let's see. Stephen, I'm seeing. So if somebody can click outside. Okay, great. Now we can see your. So ceiling light and music.
Okay.
Please share, Stephen.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I thought it would be really interesting if, you know, you're not able to spend your time with your husband who's traveling at the moment, Ayse, that, you know, you could have a shared moment where you have a meal. And if it's Thanksgiving, because that happens to be part of the theme, then great. But otherwise, it could just be another meal. And everything would be choreographed. So it would be amazing if it was a piece of music that, you know, you both related to, but your meal unfolds in a choreography that happens, even if there's no video screen or anything else. And the light in the room is also, we could dim or brighten in sync with the music. So it basically is this kind of more of a, less of a like, let's have a Zoom call, than let's have a shared moment, a little bit of maybe a little bit quieter.
Oh, I like it.
I want this now. How thoughtful, Stephen. I love it. We need this.
Thank you.
Let's do Ada's.
Mickey, it's going to be hard for you to beat this idea.
I know. But I'm very confident, even though I have no reason to be. Ada, what do you have? Tell us your.
A very male attitude. Sorry.
So
I do love me.
I picked toilet paper and music, and the thing that I have is called Song for You. Oh. So I kind of thought, okay, music in the bathroom, music while you're using the bathroom. And so that brought me to the place of, what if you have sort of an app that allows you to choose the music for the next person who's using the bathroom, and you can leave a special note for them. So why did I choose this song for you? So Ayse, I chose, you know, I would maybe the song 2 Becomes 1 by Spice Girls. I don't know why. Or I Want It That Way. Okay, and why? Because I don't know, you have teenage girls, and I was a teenager when I listened to those songs. So somebody can leave a very meaningful note that's more meaningful than the example that I gave about the significance of the song. And maybe there's a function for, you can leave a note for yourself in the future and say, hey, you know, future self in 3 months, here's a song that I chose for you while you're using the potty. Or you can choose a song for one of your daughters in 3 months' time, and here's why.
I love this idea, and maybe you could have like a dot matrix printer on the toilet roll, so as you're pulling it off, it would print the lyrics, so it'd be kind of like a karaoke. This is gold.
Yeah, you can sit there and karaoke while you're on the potty.
Lots of product extensions here. I like it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought of this because we don't spend a lot of time while we're in the bathroom, but a lot of times we spend it while browsing our phone. So why not spend that time just, you know, thinking about other things, and it's a moment of connection with somebody else, or
thinking about something for someone else. I like that a lot, which is you're thinking about like a song that someone else will enjoy or something, you know, which it makes you feel less lonely, I suspect. I mean, I like that. Just it feels right. Ayse, what about yours? Tell us about yours. I see you drew something.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Wow,
Okay,
within such a short time.
So that's why I drew, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's a wallpaper that basically captures everyone that I talk to in one day, and then so it's kind of like a memory wallpaper, and I could then click on them. For example, that's the one saying hello is Bibi. I can click on Bibi's face, and that can connect me back with him. But it's kind of like creates this tableau of my day through the people I connected to, because they make me less lonely. Yeah.
I love the idea. If maybe even when you were talking to them, they left a secret message for you that you wouldn't be able to find until you clicked on them on the wallpaper. You know, it'd be almost like a little message in a bottle. Could be fun too. So a surprise.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I like that.
Yeah, wonderful ideas. So now we're gonna actually go
What's
into
Mickey's idea?
Mickey.
Ignore Mickey.
that's
He's
what
so
I'm
bad.
good at. That's what I'm good at. Mine's on
Ting
a
is
genius.
very good at this. All right. Well, mine is a sing along with beams of light. That's the name. And when someone makes a noise, just any noise in the house that sounds like, and this is for Ayse and her daughters, that just sounds like, a little bit of music. A light begins to glow and it starts looping it, and it starts actually kind of playing it as kind of like a feedback loop of kind of like, little bits of noises. So it could be just, you pushed a chair in and it starts to loop that sound. And then the other kids are encouraged to kind of like make noises that would build on it. So it's almost like a little improvisational light music that just made from stuff. Like I dropped something and I said, "Oh crap!" And then it suddenly like it starts looping, "Oh crap!" But it adds a little tune, tuning into it. So I was thinking of like Imogen Heap. Like if you know her as a musician, she just does these crazy looping things and she builds an entire thing. What if you could do that and you'd kind of just feel like you made something together, even if it was just out of things around your home.
Yeah, I love this, Mickey. Actually, this is great because it relates to what Ayse said before about when she felt deeply connected with others. Oftentimes, she's in a flow with a colleague or fully present in that moment, right? And so, how can we create more of those moments where we're either co-creating, where we're in a flow state instead of small talk? All of this is very mindless. But what rather it's very mindful, yet it's very flowy. So that's going to be, let's say, our challenge, and we're going to use a little scientific diagnosis framework to get to dive deeper of like, why aren't we having this much kind of experience already in our life, or can we even increase that? So Ayse, I know that you already have some, but can we even increase that? And so what are the potential barriers? One is that you didn't know that having this co-creation flow moment, it can help you connect, or like, not knowing when you kind of check on your phone and being multitasking, that's actually hurting the quality of connection, right? Or it can be like it's against social norm. It's not a normal thing to do co-creation or to play a game together with your family or friends. Maybe you didn't have that sort of expectations of each other doing that, and it's kind of socially awkward. There's also a possibility of lacking self-control with other kind of behavioral, barriers, behavioral failures. I think here is maybe less relevant, but then how to change a habit, or a habit can be both individual level or collective level, which then become a custom. So think about a lot of Thanksgiving customs that we adhere to just year after year, which some of them are great to keep. But maybe what we talk about during the dinner, besides Thanksgiving, how can we even dive deeper into a conversation, or how can we create those flow moments together? Could be something hard to break in terms of the habitual response, right? So these are potential barriers of why we're not having as much flow co-created moment together. So we would like to give you 2 minutes, 3 guests. Oh, Stephen. Okay, let's bring Stephen back.
And Stephen in the back. Yeah, there you go.
And so you have to agree on which one is the biggest barrier. 1 would be small, 3 would be the biggest, right?
Oh.
And so you have to choose, assign a number to each of these 4 categories of why having.
But so this is for Ayse.
This is
she's our target audience.
Sure,
here.
She can help, but Ada and Stephen, you have to do this discovery.
So talk between yourselves.
Yeah.
Like, is it A is A, B, C, or D? Is A 1 like not so important, or 3 really important? So why don't you discuss this, and we want to kind of listen in on you talking about what you think is the actual problem. Is it lack of motivation, A or B, or is it a gap between motivation and action, which is C or D, and what level?
Ada, you're muted.
Okay, it's not a virtual call if someone forgets to unmute themselves.
No.
So okay, so we're supposed to ask Ayse questions to figure out what's the biggest barrier. So I have to ask you, as an introvert, are you do you feel yourself wanting to make social connections with other people on a frequent basis? Do you crave it?
In the absence of almost every other entertainment, yes, I do crave it. And like I said, I don't mind connecting on Zoom.
Okay, and then when you do make plans to connect with others, either virtually or through the phone, or in this case, I guess in the pandemic, it's kind of hard to connect in person, but when you do make plans, do you follow through on those plans, or are there ever last minute cancellations on your part? I'm just speaking from personal experience.
So I think for me, I get mentally tired, and so towards the end of the day, I'll start kind of, does it really make a difference? No time, not important. That lack of motivation basically starts to kick in.
I see.
Do you find
Steven,
the virtual?
do you have any questions?
Do you find virtual gatherings to be a lot less effort for you than making the effort to motivate, to get dressed, to get in the car, and to go someplace?
Yes.
Seems we all do. But I don't know that it replaces the one-to-one. Okay.
But you're making me think, the funny thing is, like, I think we're all suffering, at least I'm suffering from this alternative reality sometimes, because it's all online. Sometimes I simply forget that I'm supposed to be online at a certain time. And there are no cues for it except like a timer, right? You just have to virtually show up somewhere. And if you forget, like, nobody is going to ring your bell or show up at your door, or, you know, that's happened to me a couple times where, like, I don't know where that would go, but I almost like will myself to not be somewhere and then get away with it very embarrassingly, but because I don't have other cues to like remind me.
10 seconds left. Do you prefer scheduled interactions or spontaneous ones?
Spontaneous.
Okay, big reveal. Ada and Stefan, what do you think? 1, 2, 3. Pick a number. The barrier.
Oh, I think that it's my gut feeling is that it's a 1.
Okay. Steven, agree?
I'm going to have to agree that it's 1 because I can't see either of the other two.
Okay.
And by the way,
so what's
one
the biggest?
Is low or 1 is high?
1 is low, sorry. One is
low.
Yeah, it's not a barrier. So
3 is most important.
Yeah, which one is 3 for you guys? Which one is the one that we should try to tackle in terms of barrier to remove for Ayse?
I would vote for C.
C.
Yeah, it's a cross between C and D based on their last comments, but I think I'm also.
Okay, you can.
I think it's more C. I think I'm going to go with C as well.
So maybe D is a 2.
It's a 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically
Okay. So it's a procrastination when she's tired. Yeah.
A lack of self-control, it sounds like. Yeah, well, it's just, the description of that is weird, but it does sound like,
That's just erase what Mickey just said.
Okay, so let's review what are the scientific insights that we can use related to that barrier. Reward substitution. Ada, explain us what reward substitution is.
Yeah,
it's doing the right thing for the wrong reason. So what can we give kind of as like cute rewards to her that helps overcome myopia?
The right reasons. Right.
I don't know how I landed on the lack of self-control.
This is very scientific.
So,
well, Ting, do you have an example of reward substitution?
Yeah.
So,
for example, if you want to exercise more, you listen to a very fun podcast, and you can only listen to that soap series or podcast when you run. So that would be a reward substitution. So you run not because you want to live longer, but because you want to listen to that fun podcast, right? So let's say that Ayse would always have her favorite chocolate when she would do such a Zoom meeting connecting with others. And she cannot eat that chocolate in other times, right? So then you kind of like, you can overcome tiredness and all of the other stuff because you want that little reward.
So even though really you're trying to deal with loneliness by having people kind of show up, you're actually giving them chocolate. So you're substituting it as a kind of a playful way. So what's social accountability?
The benefits of addressing loneliness is so intangible, it's so far in the future also, right? That you don't see it. So you need to give some immediate gratification for the people, for the action to take place, especially when you're tired and when when you can postpone when something urgent it's a competing priority.
Well, and by the way, I think Ayse said that the idea of lack of self-control is not about, a lot of times that sounds like, oh my gosh, this person's just going all over the place. It in this case, it means the diagnosis is you're lonely, or that feeling of being alone, and you don't invest time in yourself, right? So it's not about self-control with other things. It's about actually giving yourself time to connect, or that kind of a thing. And I think that's probably why, I don't know, Stephen or Ada, is that kind of where you were going with this?
Yeah, okay, so just so I'm clear, right now we are coming up with ideas under reward substitution, social accountability, and pre-commitment for Ayse?
Yes, so you're gonna now add layer of science-informed tactics, yeah? So social accountability, Ayse, would be that because you're making a appointment, let's say, with another person, and you don't want to fail that. So instead of making that commitment just to yourself, make it explicit to another that I want to Zoom with you every 2 weeks or something. Will help you kind of follow suit on your intention. And pre-commitment is similar, but you can also pre-commit on your calendar, for example, right? Put it in, and you're more likely to follow suit. So those are all bridging this intention behavior gap. You really want to do it, but sometimes you just don't end up doing it. So why don't you take either of the three? Now in your redesign, you get another 3 minutes. You can bring either of this tip and add it to your idea. And you are welcome to use your previous idea, just add a layer to it, or come up with a new idea. Okay, 3 minutes, go.
Are you starting a timer?
Yes.
We could do a totally new idea if we feel like it. Is that true? Yes. I think it's true.
Mickey, you have your blue. Mickey, you have your blue sticky. Mickey, your blue post-it. Come on, use that. Right. Stop creating new post-it.
This is a very strict game.
We want the format.
All right. Hmm. 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
Toilet paper.
You make it sound like we're docking into like the space, International Space Station or something.
We are 2 minutes to Tango 5.
Mickey, what's the time?
22 seconds. 30 seconds. Sorry, folks.
Woohoo.
Uh-oh, I gotta stop typing. Okay, hands away from the keyboard. Out of time. Okay. How did we do? Make sure to click off of your PowerPoint. Of your post-it notes so that we can read it. And then yep. And then Ayse, did you end up doing a drawing again? What did you do?
I was on mute. Sorry. Of course I did.
Of course.
Amazing. That's really little time.
But Dr. Ting said we could just add a little something. So I added a little something. But it changes everything.
Cool. Oh, nice. All right.
Nice. That's awesome.
All right. So we've got a drawing. Who is going to go first? Who wants to share their idea? Knowing full well mine is the best, but
of course,
the second best idea.
I can share the second best idea.
You should not. Don't do that, Ada. Stephen will tell you this is a bad idea to ever encourage me.
I will not take your place on the throne.
Okay. Can you unclick? There you go. Yeah. Perfect.
There I go. Okay. So I built on top of the Song for You idea. I kind of went down the route of social accountability. So maybe it's yourself and your friends or the people in your household actually join a social group, and the group has a name called, I don't know, of shared potty music. And when you start using the app, you can pledge that you will always select a song for someone else after you are done listening to your song. So I guess right after you wash your hands, you can select the next song. And at the end of some period of time, maybe over a year or 6 months, you can the app will actually create a wall for you of all the special notes that people have left for you over the years, kind of like a yearbook. And you can kind of share this yearbook page of all the special things that people have left for you in the form of potty music. Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right.
The idea of going to the toilet just
totally changes.
Totally changes.
Now wait, but I wanna say though, this does relate to Ayse in a weird way, and I don't want to embarrass you, Ayse, but
you can't embarrass me with that.
I don't think I can. Yeah. So I remember when I was in school for industrial design. And your dream was to be on the cover of ID magazine. Your dream was to be like to win an award for like the best design of the year. And this woman named Ayse Birsel won an award for redesigning a toilet seat, and it was beautiful and well thought out and completely different. I mean, just the idea that like everything around us in our home, we could actually put love into. And we could actually change the way it was. And this was actually how I first got to even know about somebody named Ayse. And she was like a superstar in my head. Because I was like, someday I wanna do that.
I have such a toilet at home. I love it. I love going to toilets.
So Ada, without realizing, you're creating the perfect thing for me.
Did I tell you I'm a psychic?
That's a separate show we're gonna do. Stephen, what about you? What'd you come up with?
I kind of went with reward substitution, but I did a little bit of a twist on it in that, if you're planning on sharing a special meal, I wanted to add to the one before, but the idea that there were little things that were put aside, like packages that you couldn't open until certain moments during the meal. So it's not like you would pick out something that's good that you would want. It would be like a little course or a dessert or a favorite drink that the other person puts aside from you, but you wouldn't know it until you actually opened it. So the surprises kind of, as you move through the meal, bring a new level of connection, because it might be that you picked, like, you know, a favorite wine or a favorite dessert that is, so you basically are sharing a meal without knowing fully what's in store for you. And it's only through opening these things that you get to have the connection with the person that's able to be there.
Nice. You can imagine tying it to your music, you know, so that it's sort of like when this particular section swells,
Right.
you know, it's got a little IoT, so it could pop open on the table.
That would be my hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would love to suggest that one of the things can be a letter. I have discovered the use of paper and pen, and one thing that I love to write is gratitude letter. So we know scientifically that showing gratitude is actually not doing the other person a favor; it's doing yourself the favor of making yourself happy.
Interesting.
And that can be like, it can never be too rude, right? You can intrude with your gratitude letter anytime. And I actually write it down. I make a recording, and I send both the written note, a picture of the, you know, paper written letter, and the recording, and then the other person might then ended up like, hey, let's catch up sometime, or they just say, oh, you know, lovely letter, and just leave me alone, you know, and which is perfectly fine. Anyway, so that could be one of the things to be revealed. But great idea.
Awesome. I like
that. Ayse.
I'm in awe of Ada and Steven's ideas, and think they can be connected because I will usually need to go to the bathroom during the dinner. So maybe the music comes in at that moment. So I thought
I've never really thought about people having special sections of dinner that are taking place in the bathroom. I didn't even, that's a whole care package thing I haven't even thought about. Okay, go Ayse, sorry.
So my, in terms of treats and kind of like reminders, I thought, you know, since my wallpaper is kind of like a memory wallpaper, but what if it can go back and forth? So past conversations, but also remind me of like, you need to talk with BB. And as the time gets close to it, his face grows bigger and it starts to do funny things and contorts, and like there's like a whole animation, and just watching that in itself gets my attention and is my reward and reminder.
It's sort of ambient goofiness from your friends. I like that.
Yeah.
I love that drawing. You're killing me, Ayse. It's like 7 lines. I'll spend like 6 hours and I'll be like, it's kind of crappy looking. And then you draw like 7 lines.
Mickey.
That's not fair. Really nicely done, everybody. This was fun.
Oh my gosh, this is so great, and thank you all for being so authentic and so present in this episode. Cannot, you know, dream of better guests than you. And we would, you know, such good ideas already, but we are also still welcoming our audience submissions to not just a thing at gameshow@gmail.com. Also, if you have family friends who want to compete with you, show them your idea and ask them to submit, and we will have our own graphic designer, Katia Kuzi from Kenya. She will illustrate the winning idea, and maybe Ayse, we could invite to do a little special touch to the winning idea of the next week to reveal. That would be amazing, given how amazing you are in drawing and illustrating. So thank you all, and we're terribly over time for today's episode, but it was so fun that we just couldn't, you know, press the stop button.
This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
And it was great.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
All right. Take good care.
Bye-bye. Oh, that was a nice surprise. That was fun.
Mickey, so what's the takeaway? I have found that it's very hopeful that we can connect actually deeply with others, even just virtually, and we can even write. So, for example, even gratitude letters when we are alone, to not feel so lonely, because the idea of connections not really at, you know, necessarily to be at the moment, and there's the depth matters much more than just the quantity or any sort of habitual sort of interactions. So being alone.
Well, I think I really liked your comment, and it you know, when Stephen showed his idea about that kind of music syncing things together during a shared meal, even if you're in a different location, but a shared meal together, and that notion of sort of like a little surprise, a cue, a certain moment that unlocks something. But I like your mod on that, which is that it doesn't have to be a tangible thing, like tangible, like it's sugar or it's a wine or something like that. But the notion that a gratitude letter, which isn't something I think we're comfortable doing, it feels like it also is kind of like not a social norm. But writing a simple letter of gratitude for someone and having that kind of unlocked at certain times during the dinner. Maybe you wrote it 4 years ago for this person, but it's unlocked today. You know, I think that's just really, it seems like a good experiment and a nice way to think of reward substitution combined with something that's good for you secretly, that's good for other people.
And maybe
really
it can
nice.
be not just gratitude, it can be something you share vulnerably about yourself, right? That got drawn. It can be you answering sort of certain questions and both of you answering, and at different times we share those answers with each other to help us know each other. So the point about seeing each other, understanding each other, giving more unconditional love to each other, even those are very intangible things. And so I know that I'm going to be sending you, Mickey, and all the guests special Thanksgiving gifts of talk, so that you can use it. I shall ask her about it. And so I think for our audience, if you're interested, you can order it also online. So those are little things.
And if somebody in the audience is watching this and comes up with an even better idea to help Ting with loneliness, submit it by Sunday, and the best audience idea is going to get a box as well. No small talk. So very exciting.
Yeah, want to thank Corey, our showmaster, and Katya for making this possible.
Hey, Ting, you had a quote that you read to me the other day that I thought would be just beautiful as a way of ending. Do you have that quote available? Can you read that to us?
Yes, I have it as the most unbearable disconnection is the disconnection with ourselves. Because without knowing who we are, without seeing ourselves, without understanding ourselves, we cannot share with others about ourselves. So the deeper connection with ourselves actually help us connect better with others.
I like it. Have a good weekend.
Everyone have a good weekend and have a wonderful, meaningfully connected Thanksgiving, either physically or virtually, or even spending time writing letters. Bye.